what Iran has is a lot of ballistic missiles and a lot of drones. And although most of those are going to get shot down, even if you had said 99% will get shot down, then one is going to get through every now and again and going to cause some damage. Now, America has quite a lot of these mobile radar systems. I think it's highly unlikely that that's going to suddenly turn the corner of the war. All that happens is you reposition some of your other assets. My bigger concern here is that if you can get one drone gets through and actually strikes a radar, what happens if one gets through and kills 50 American soldiers? At the moment, it's all one way. We're hearing about a lot of Iranian casualties, and so far, President Trump has managed to keep the American public largely with him. What happens when he gets his hands further in the mangle and Iran gets lucky? That's what they'll be hoping to do.
Now, the images are slick, the rock music is pounding, and the message from Washington is clear. They are winning. But as the White House releases movie trailer-style montages of missile strikes intercut with scenes from Gladiator and Top Gun, the reality on the ground in Iran, of course, is a war of seemingly attrition at this point. There are low-cost drones flying, there are million-dollar interceptors flying, hardware is being deployed is as much about breaking the bank as it is about breaking the enemy. We can speak now to Air Vice Marshal Sean Bell, military analyst and former RAF pilot. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Calum. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Very good to speak to you. I want to start actually with the intervention of Russia at this point and to get your assessment of how Russia is now involved in this. Reports suggest that Russia may be providing intelligence to Tehran to target the Americans.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, we'll probably never know the actual truth, but you have to look at who benefits by Iran continuing to fight the war. And there's no doubt that Russia has a lot of intelligence available, satellite intelligence and the like, of the US positions, the Israeli positions in the region. And Russia, for a number of reasons, one of which you highlighted at the top of the show, that obviously oil price has gone up. That puts a massive amount of extra money into Russia's coffers, and their economy was struggling. The second one, of course, is that you've got a distraction from the fight in Ukraine. And thirdly, there are only a finite number of weapons around. It's not like you nip down to Walmart and pick up a load more. And the more that get used by the Americans and the Israelis in Iran, the fewer are available to actually give to Ukraine. It sounds a bit bizarre. So there are lots of reasons why Russia would have a vested interest in the war continuing, for Iran to hold out as long as possible, and therefore it would benefit Russia in Ukraine.
Yeah, of course. In terms of the strategic successes or otherwise on either side of this conflict so far, there is reporting that Iran has destroyed a key radar system crucial to directing US missile defence batteries in the Gulf. What can you tell us about the significance of this, Sean?
Well, I think you're going to hear every now and again Iran gets lucky. I mean, one of the things we've been saying is that Iran is not the major superpower that America is. America is systematically taking down air defense systems and their ability to fight back. But of course, what Iran has is a lot of ballistic missiles and a lot of drones. And although most of those are going to get shot down, even if you had said 99% will get shot down, then one is going to get through every now and again and going to cause some damage. Now, America has quite a lot of these mobile radar systems. I think it's highly unlikely that that's going to suddenly turn the corner of the war. All that happens is you reposition some of your other assets. My bigger concern here is that if you can get one drone gets through and actually strikes a radar, what happens if one gets through and kills 50 American soldiers? At the moment, it's all one way. We're hearing about a lot of Iranian casualties, and so far, President Trump has managed to keep the American public largely with him. What happens when he gets his hands further in the mangle and Iran gets lucky? That's what they'll be hoping to do.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, as well, I suppose, the idea that this war is being fought in the air. And there's again some reporting that Trump may be discussing sending in ground troops, etc. But I wonder if it will ever evolve into that, Sean, or if this will be a couple of weeks of airstrikes and then call the whole thing off.
Yeah, I mean, if you go all the way back, I mean, there was that shocking video, in a way, that America put together of its military might. Lots of music pounding, lots of images of the tools of warfare. But the harsh reality here is that the military is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. In other words, you have to have an idea of your political end state, and it's not entirely clear to me what that is. You won't engineer a regime change, for example, simply from the air, and all that Iran has to do is hunker down. So I suspect here what we're seeing is that America, and also with the midterm elections with President Trump, he doesn't want to get himself locked into a long war because he was elected as the president of peace. I bring peace. I end wars. So it's very difficult to see if you put boots on the ground. You're in it for the long term. You will end up with a lot more casualties. So although Trump has threatened it, I think part of this is him positioning for his own off-ramp. How do you end this? The military are no doubt dominant. Iran will still fight as long as it can, but it doesn't matter. Once it's defenseless, how are you going to actually bring Iran to the negotiating table? That's not entirely clear.
Yeah. The other part of this, of course, is Iran's proxies in the region. Hezbollah already engaged, other factions already engaged as well. So we've got questions about the Houthis' position in all of this and what may be available to the Houthis. Do they want to engage in disrupting shipping in the Straits of Hormuz, for example? Based on behaviour in the past, Sean, what can we say about the willingness to intervene of the Houthis?
I wouldn't be at all surprised. We've already seen the proxies. Now you've got Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Hamas are really locked down at the moment in Gaza. You're seeing Hezbollah fired some rockets, but now Israel is going at the jugular against them. The Houthis largely have operated on the other side, so we don't see geographically them operating in the Straits of Hormuz, but they have effectively cut down a lot of shipping across in the Red Sea, and it may be that a lot of the expertise they use there could be invaluable, because you have to remember that Iran militarily is going to struggle to fight back. But the thing about their ballistic missile program is that we don't know how many they've got. They've got a lot of these Shahed type drones that will continue to fight with those. We've not seen the proxies really start to spread terror further, and of course then sponsoring terror acts in other countries. There are lots of ways in which Iran could see this develop, and I no doubt the Houthi expertise will be one that they'll be looking to leverage.
Yeah, and when Donald Trump was asked about the chance of retaliation on American soil, he said, I guess that's a possibility. Sean, I wonder if I could just lean on your expertise, because we've had reports in the last few minutes that Abu Dhabi airport has been evacuated and that passengers are now sheltering underground because of a missile alert. I just want to understand, I suppose, how civilian airspace is managed in a situation such as this, which is presumably really quite unpredictable. How much time, I suppose, a civilian aviation authority has to respond when missiles fly. How does it work?
Yeah, well, the harsh reality is the reason you hear it being shut down, airspace, is because it's incredibly difficult. Civilian aircraft are vulnerable, they're big, near the ground they're slow, and of course they're packed full of people. So you've inevitably got to be very, very careful. If the West, if America, if Israel believes that the Israeli action and the Iranian air defense systems are now completely rolled back, they might decide there's very limited opportunities for Iran to launch lots of missiles, and therefore they might try to get air travel going again. But it's the first thing that's going to stop. Inevitably, nobody wants to see a tube full of people suddenly explode on the runway, and therefore I think it's incredibly difficult. I'm amazed that they're still operating at all. The good thing, I guess, is that you generally get a fair bit of warning. Not for the ballistic missiles, they're only minutes of warning, but for the drones, they're generally pretty slow speed, 130 odd miles an hour. You can see them coming, therefore you've got to set up your defences, and you can normally take them out. The big issue, of course, is when these missiles go across the top of an airport. If you do shoot them down, you stop them hitting their intended target, but the debris and the explosives can still fall anywhere. And if that hits an aircraft, a civilian aircraft full of fuel, then the results can be quite catastrophic.
Sean Bell, thank you very much for joining us. Good to speak to you this morning.